What's going on, guys? This is Joe Tallarico, and you're listening to the Aha Moment podcast, where we find regular people who said no to playing it safe, failed along the way, and are in the middle of their grind to the top. Here's how they think when everyone else tells them no. All right, guys, today I am here with none other than bodybuilder, competitor, Doug. I never knew how to say his name.
Fruchey.
That's how you say it?
Fruchey, yeah.
Oh, damn, this whole time, in all the years I've known you, I thought it was Fruchey or Fruchey.
Everybody mispronounces it at least 10 times. I never even really mattered or bothered correcting anybody. I just, yeah, okay, that's me.
That works.
But it's actually Fruchey, yeah.
Okay. For those who don't know, tell them a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
All right, well, yeah. As you already heard, my name is Douglas Fruchey. I am primarily, number one, a bodybuilder. I do some personal training here in LA and have been focused I've been in LA for 3.5 years now, but for probably the last 8 to 10 years of my life, just focused on living a bodybuilding lifestyle and trying to become a professional in that arena, and just kind of enjoying the ride along the way.
Okay. What got you into bodybuilding to begin with?
Oh man, I got out of the Army, and then I had a little bit of trouble finding my way after the Army. And one of the things that really saved me was just going to the gym. My cousin and I, Steven, we used to go to the gym together, and just really we just fell in love with training. It was fun. And there was a bodybuilder there, an older guy. We all have, I'm assuming every bodybuilder has the first guy that they talk to that's a bodybuilder. And Brian Raphael, that's his name. And I remember he just told me, he's like, have you ever thought about competing? And I was like, no, man, I'm too tall and I'm too skinny. He's like, that's absolutely not true.
What were you weighing at the time?
Oh, gosh, I don't even remember. I was under 200 pounds.
Wow.
So I probably was like 180, 190, something like that.
And right now, for anyone who's watching or not watching, you weigh what right now?
I'm 290 right now.
290. Literally has 100 more pounds on his body right now.
It's been a good long road, let me tell you.
That's awesome. So then, did you find that being in the Army and that mentality shaped like cultivating into the bodybuilding mentality?
Really, I think honestly, that's the reason I generally say that bodybuilding kind of saved my life, because I lived the regimental military life and I functioned fairly well in that environment. And then I got out and I didn't function very well in the normal environment. I feel like bodybuilding is kind of the military. It keeps me straight, keeps me focused on something. And it's just so natural for me that yeah, I really do. I think being in the military kind of gave me that first comfort in the structure. And I never really found that outside of it. So bodybuilding is kind of a nice one for me.
Okay. And so now, explain to people what the competing life is like and what it requires to be operating at your level day in and day out.
Oh, well, when you start prep for a show, really, I live pretty much the same all the time, with the exception of the amount of cardio and the type of food. But I always eat a pretty structured diet. But anyway, so the 16 weeks before the competition is when you really consider the preparation life or the prep life. And it's really just a whole bunch of the same thing every day. That's really the key, is to, stay consistent and stay focused and really just kind of grind it out day in, day out, Yeah. Early mornings, stretching yourself a little bit longer, later at night to do some extra cardio sometimes, and obviously not eating as much food, which is never fun. And working out harder, if not at least just as hard. So, yeah.
Is there anything about competing or any assumptions people have that just aren't true, that you've noticed in your experience?
I would say one of the biggest misconceptions is that being in competition shape is necessarily unhealthy or is unhealthy. Yeah, it's a stressful position to put your body in, but I don't believe that it is required of the athlete to, dehydrate themselves extremely or, really make it that hard. As a matter of fact, I feel like your body functions much better and there is a way, believe it or not, to not necessarily starve yourself and dehydrate yourself, but still look lean and look dry on stage and accomplish the look you're looking for in a much more healthy physical environment. I think that's the biggest misconception, is that, we kill ourselves to get on stage, and that's not always the case.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people think it's this super, super hardcore all or nothing, which you're definitely putting in the work, definitely hard, but there's a way to be smart about it versus doing it.
Oh, I think that's the thing is there's several different types of bodybuilders or several different types of fitness competitors. There is always the all or nothing type bodybuilder, which is like me. I mean, I can literally say for the past 10 years, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I think about is what I'm working out that day. And I can say that kind of no shame, half embarrassed, half like, yeah, that's really true. It's legitimately true. But I think those people really, you have to be smarter about it, and you enjoy being smarter about it. When it's your entire life, I mean, you start to realize that, hey, look, I'm not really going to try to kill myself every time because I want to continue doing this. And so people that get into it and they think, oh, I'm going to be real successful with this, I'm just going to jump in, don't really invest their life and put their heart and soul into this. Those are the ones that look for the easy way out, really dehydrate themselves, and take it too far and give the rest of us a bad name.
Yeah. What gave you that mentality from the get-go? Was that like you as a kid? Was there something that shaped you that way versus other people who go too hard?
I think more than anything, it's probably literally just personal experience and trial and error. I feel like I have really allowed my bodybuilding journey to take its course. So there were plenty of times where I took it way too far, went way too hard, trained way too long, and burned myself out. And then you learn, okay, well, we need to incorporate some rest, and we need to incorporate some other things. Maybe we need to eat more food. It's trial and error with everything. And that's been you take influence from everybody that you meet that's smarter than you or has more experience than you, but you're just taking these pieces and making decisions on your own. And if they don't work, they don't work. So that's how I think most of us come to the mentality of health and wellness. I mean, and then it's just kind of a personality type. What are you willing to do?
Yeah. Who are some of your influences that brought you or motivated you along on this journey that you kind of look up to when you need that motivation?
Oh gosh. Well, I go to Gold's Gym Venice every day.
Which, for those who don't know, is like the mecca. That's where all the top bodybuilders, competitors, or at least that's one point throughout the year stop by.
Yeah, it's a big gym, one of the big stops, and I literally moved. That's why I moved to LA, was to train at that gym, and they're filled with mentors. I mean, Charles Glass is somebody that I really look up to. I never would have imagined before living in LA and training at this gym that I would have the access and opportunity to even just talk to Charles about life, but bodybuilding, and there's tons of those around. I mean, there's Tom Prince, who's a bodybuilder in the 80s with the most ridiculous legs. And not only was he a fantastic bodybuilder, but he went through some really tough stuff after bodybuilding and has still maintained, a good life and a healthy fitness lifestyle. And so you can gain knowledge from any of those people. I mean, I could go on for days about that. But Charles is probably one of the ones that's just kind of blows my mind that I get to consider him like a personal influence rather than just somebody that I watch online. That's just something that, it makes me feel very lucky and humble.
And what are the biggest things? So for someone listening who's on their journey trying to find influence, what did you look for to find someone who could be kind of like a mentor to you?
Honestly, it was all about who I connected with on an intellectual level. I feel like bodybuilding is so much less physical than it is mental. And it's very personal. The journey that we're on, or the fitness journey, I feel like is an extremely personal thing, and everybody's is different. But, even before I lived in LA and had the access that I do and was this far in the lifestyle, I was the guy sitting behind the computer all day at my job at Computer Corner in Albuquerque, New Mexico, watching muscular development and dreaming. Yeah, well, at that point I was a little bigger, but, dreaming about going to Golds and watching these videos. And it was always just, they talk on the videos and listen to them and just listen to, how do they sound? Do they sound like somebody that you want to talk to? And if so, reach out to them on social media. We're in a great age. And, if you see a lower level pro or an amateur, I mean, I'm not going to say write Phil Heath a message if you want to talk to him because, he's probably pretty busy. But, I tell you what, you write me a message, I'll converse with you. I get people talking to me all the time. I love it. This is my life. And all of us really generally feel that way. But yeah, that's my biggest advice. If you're looking for mentors and stuff, I mean, whether it's in the gym or on social media, just really try to look at this as a community, because that's what it is. And the more people that look at it as a community, the better it is. You know, talk to people, share your experience, because chances are somebody else has felt that way. I guarantee it, because I've never once had somebody come up and say, "Oh, I feel this way." And I'm like, "Yeah, never me." Nope. You know, I've never had trouble eating my last meal. You know, come on. We've all been there. We can help you out. And that's what makes this fun.
Okay. There's two big points you brought up there that I want to touch upon. Is one, that sense of community. I know when I first was entering the fitness realm, people automatically think, oh, those really big bodybuilding guys, they're the most intimidating. Hands down, I think across the board, they've probably been the easiest people, for me at least, to talk to. And it's always the ones with like Napoleon complexes who aren't even big, like the guys wearing tight shirts in the gym, that are the ones that are douchey and you don't want to talk to. And it's the bodybuilders that like give you the tips, help you out, and give you their time. And then the other one is when you were talking about how the social media, the time we live in, I think that's huge. There was when I was listening to Tim Ferriss, he was talking about how when he was in college, they had an assignment where they had to find someone they thought would be really hard to reach. And the only assignment was just try and reach him. It wasn't a matter of getting a hold of him, just try and reach him. And I think it was more than 60% of the class didn't even bother trying to reach out, because they just wrote it off as like, oh, I can never get a hold of him. How am I going to hold of this person? And he did it, and he found out, one, how easy it actually was to get a hold of him, and two, the benefit of that, because no one else is doing it, or less people than you think. So I thought that was a huge point you brought up in terms of, you know, like you said, don't go for the top person, but find someone who's up and coming. Find someone with who's on the rise, who, like you said, reach out to yourself. You'll answer back. You'll provide just as good, if not better, you know, information, and that can help you along the way. And who knows what kind of relationships built from that.
I'm telling you, you know, I'll go in that order. Community first. That's one thing. This is something that has really come to my attention and been something that I think about a lot. Only the past year, I would say, and that is, if I could change anything in the bodybuilding world, in the fitness world, if I could leave my mark, I really think the focus on the fact that we are a community that helps each other out. For some reason, I feel like that's how bodybuilding should be, and it's a big thing. And I see it sometimes. I do. I mean, at Gold's, you'd be surprised. I mean, we're all friends. You need help finding something, someone's going to help you. I remember one time there was a kid at the LA Fitness that I worked at, and he got his bike stolen, or he didn't have a bike. And so he told me one day that he wasn't going to be able to get to work. And it's just something I believe strongly in. If a man needs to get to work, you help him get to work. You know, especially, I mean, Julian, the guy we're talking about, he's a great kid, man. He's an awesome kid. But he couldn't get to work. And so I just put on my Facebook, literally, I said, hey, anybody in LA that I know have a bike that they want to get rid of? And literally, I had a guy message me back probably within 20 minutes, maybe an hour. And he was like, hey, I got a bike. It needs air in the tires. But if you want, you can come get it. And I went, picked up that bike, brought it to him. I mean, Julian had a bike the same day.
That's awesome.
and I think that was the moment that I was like, dude, we have so many people from so many backgrounds all over the world, especially with that social media, which this will be a great tie-in to that. I mean, we all talk, we all, you know, go through the same experiences, struggle with the same things, have the same insecurities, but half the time we're too insecure to talk about it with anybody else because we're afraid that they're going to think they're bigger than us, or some shit like that. Well, excuse my language, I don't know if I'm...
It's fine.
But, you know, I have found the beauty of the community so much at Gold's, and I just want to see that everywhere. That would be so awesome for me.
Yeah. To add to that, I think it's that scarcity mindset along with that insecurity. Someone thinks, oh, if I help him out and we have the same goal, he's going to beat me to it, and then that leaves me hanging out. But that's not how it works. It's you help them out, they help you out. Like you said, it's a community. You'll both grow, or the whole group will grow. I
mean, if you're worried more about some guy beating you in a competition than you're worried about whether or not he's going to be able to get all his meals in or something, and you can help him with that, I mean, come on. That's just messed up. I mean... The whole goal here is to become bigger and better, and you know, whether or not you're a crazy bodybuilder that wants to be nasty and freaky and deadlift 900 pounds, or you want to just look more like a classic bodybuilder and enjoy the lifestyle. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is just get better every day. And competitions, I mean, yeah, they're part of it, and yeah, they're fun, but this is a lifestyle we live, and that's really what I think as you grow as a bodybuilder, you learn to understand is that this isn't, yeah, we compete, but is that really what we're after? Probably not if we're honest with ourselves,
Yeah.
I mean, probably not.
What, if anything, what was the biggest thing, sacrifice you had to overcome to get where you are?
I guess I would, the short answer to that is probably the discipline in the eating, and just the time that it takes. It takes a lot of commitment, and so yeah, we make sacrifices with in our social lives. I don't remember the last time I was at a bar, stuff like that. But to me, it doesn't even feel like a sacrifice because this is literally, I've just come to understand that this is really the only way I know how to live, honestly. And so it's really something that I don't sweat over very much when I miss out on stuff because this takes the priority. Call it selfish or what have you, but it's just the way my life is. But yeah, the time with family and, not being able to, if the family's out drinking and partying and you're just going to eat your chicken, it's great to see the family regardless, but, want to have fun, go to a wedding and you can't drink, stuff like that.
How do you find that balance? I know when I first started getting into working out and turning into a lifestyle, there's that huge peer pressure influence of like, oh, come on, man, what's one drink or what's one this, one that, live a little, and they try to completely, it's funny, it's the only place where when you're trying to eat healthy, people make fun of you for it. When you eat like crap, people are like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Oh man, Doug's gonna have pizza tonight? Holy shit. I've heard that before.
How do you balance that?
It kind of goes back to the other time I said trial and error. I think that's really how it is. You're gonna go, I feel like I go through big cycles of up and down, and there are times very frequently where I will go an entire month on the diet, everything's perfect, day in, day out. And then there'll be a week where it's like, holy shit, what happened? I stayed in bed all day this day, I didn't, and it's like, so it's in cycles. That's basically the way I've found to balance it, but it's just trial and error, One other thing that I think really helps balance it is as you get to know your body a little bit better, then you get to understand a little bit more about the principles of dieting and what food actually does to you. You'll start to be like, I can eat this because, really, it's not, you understand. You can legitimately justify it to yourself. Whereas when you're fresh at this, you're like, oh, I don't know what to eat if I have to eat at this restaurant right now and I don't know what to get, so I'm going to get pizza.
Yeah.
It's like, that's absolutely the wrong choice. But you learn how to balance it and make your the food, the parameters to include, good food that you enjoy. And knowing your body and understanding nutrition a little bit better also helps with that. So that's part of the process as well.
Okay. I love the point you made about how even yourself, you go through cycles of ups and downs, because I feel like the biggest thing, either someone listening, I'm sure people who've seen you when they're starting out on a similar journey to you is, oh, it must be so easy for you, Doug. You've been doing this and you can probably follow it in and out. But you're saying right here, right now, like you still have cycles.
Oh.
Like, no one's perfect all the time.
No, yeah, exactly. The way I look at and approach my bodybuilding strategy, I'll give you my entire book of secrets right here. Okay, how many perfect days can you string together in a row? That's it, and if you don't get a perfect day, that's okay. Sometimes you got to just say this day is gone and then you start again tomorrow. But literally, it's as simple as that. How many perfect days can you string together in a row? So,
That's awesome. I love that. That's perfect advice for anyone listening, trying to get started on any journey. That applies to any goal, any life choice. It's finding that balance, knowing what you can and cannot do, and accepting that and figuring ways within that. What do you think is the biggest thing that holds people back?
Oh gosh, it's got to be fear.
Yeah.
I have fear, and it's almost just you hold yourself back when you're not really honest with yourself. And I think we're not honest with ourselves a lot of times simply because we're not ready to accept that it's actually the truth. And so you're trying to pretend that it's not the truth, but really if you just let it go the way it's supposed to go, it's going to be much easier. And I think that's a lot of the thing that holds people back is just oh man, what are these people going to think? Or I'm going to look stupid if I do this, or I can't ask that person for help. They're not going to help me. You know, fear, it's like, man, I battle with that a lot. I really still socially pretty awkward and stuff like that. And it's always like, man, they don't want to talk to me. I'm not going to bother them, you know, whatever. But I have found 9 times out of 10, you do that and you know, break out of your comfort zone and just go for it. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a positive, you know, result. And the 10th time, it's probably just going to be neutral. Like, whatever, you know.
It's pushing the level of comfortability and getting uncomfortable and going into that.
And having confidence in yourself. That's one of the biggest things for me. I mean, people may say that's what I'm compensating for with my bodybuilding, because other people sure as hell have a lot of confidence in me, you know. But you know, you just gotta have confidence. It's the same in the weight room as it is in life. I mean, if you're confident that what you're bringing to the table with somebody in a new conversation is worthwhile and interesting, then they're gonna find it interesting because you're gonna present it in a way that grabs their attention. You just gotta be confident about it. If you're like, hey, you know, I got this idea that maybe we can talk about it, and you know, they're like, get the fuck away from me, bro. So, and it's the same, you know, I mean, squatting 700 pounds, man. You just got to know you can fucking do it, and then you'll do it. At some point, don't try that if you haven't, you know, squatted 600 pounds.
Everyone's going to go,
yes,
700 on the Yeah, no, that's something even I've been working on, is just that confidence is, because growing up, I've always put myself in situations where I'm so hit or miss. I call them Joe-ments. I always do just silly Joe things that I know it's got laughs. Sometimes they were laughs I wanted, sometimes they weren't ones I didn't want. And I got the best of both worlds. I knew how to make people laugh, but at the same time, it kind of got in my head a little, so it made me afraid to speak up. So I definitely know the importance of like having that confidence and how it carries over versus, you know, looking unsure of yourself.
Well, the beautiful thing about that is as you start to apply this in your life in general, and I mean in anywhere, but as you start to apply just a little bit more confidence and you know, and pep in your step, honestly, is almost the best way to put it. You start to see how easy it is to learn to do things and how comfortable you become doing them pretty quickly. And before you know it, you're doing things that you've had to force yourself outside of the comfort zone without even thinking about it, because it's now in your comfort zone. And I've been finding that so fascinating lately. It's just, gosh, anything you want to be able to do, you can do.
You just have to have that mindset that you can do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're grown up to think, or at least I was grown up to think like, oh, if you fail at something, oh, I guess you're just not good at this. But it's not. As you get older, you realize, if you're paying attention, you realize, oh wow, yeah, maybe I'm not good at it right now, but if it actually matters to me, I can become good at it.
That's what I think it is. I think, you know, that's almost, you know, we always just take those tests about, you know, where are your skill sets. Now I remember in high school, I used to score very high in the math and science. I hated math and science. You know, and they were always like, "Oh no, Doug, you should be an engineer. You should go into math." And I'm like, "No, I hate it. It's terrible." But so it's like, honestly, why aren't we looking more at what do you like to do?
Yeah.
You know, what are you passionate about? What is it that really gets you going? And I found it very quickly that it was bodybuilding, but I wasn't able to admit it to myself until very recently that, hey, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like, this is it. This is fun. But I feel like if we consider that more so than what am I good at, or what's gonna, you know, what job am I gonna do that's gonna give me the biggest paycheck? It's like, you know, can you live on the paycheck not quite the biggest? Will you be happier? You should probably do that one then. I mean, that's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, there's an interesting point you brought up where you said it took you a while to admit that bodybuilding was something you wanted to pursue. I think, and that's kind of the audience I'm reaching out to, is I feel like that goes through everyone's mind. They hit that point. Usually it's somewhere either in college, right after college, or, you know, as they're trying to figure out their career, is, do I do what's safe and I may not feel it in my heart, or do I take that risk and do something? But I'm afraid to tell people about it because they're going to make fun of me or tell me it's stupid and unrealistic.
Yeah. Oh man, I could talk for hours about that. Yeah, it's, you know, it's so amazing. You know, I say I only recently admitted to myself that this is actually what I was going to do. I say that because, you know, I feel like I'm just like everybody else. I was nervous as hell when I moved to LA. I got 2 weeks I gave my 2 weeks notice and stayed with a friend and was from Albuquerque, New Mexico to LA with $5,000 in my pocket within 2 weeks. packed up my stuff in the back of my truck and moved, and have just kind of been cruising along and working towards that goal of, living in this lifestyle. And it's a fun ride. But yeah, I can definitely understand being scared and not knowing exactly how you'd make that move. I know that I've been very blessed with how I landed in LA, because I've heard stories of people that have landed in a much uglier fashion and may or may not have made it. I always feel that's what people say, especially at Goals. It's like, either you're going to make it or we'll be taking a collection for your bus fare, send you back to Ohio. It's like everybody comes to LA, but you got to make it here.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating because LA is such an amazing place to make money. There's so much opportunity, and there's opportunity to do whatever you want, and it's supported that you do whatever you want. But I mean, you want to talk about retirement? Oh, geez, I don't want to talk about that. I mean, pretty much every dollar that comes in goes out, but I make it. And yeah, I can definitely understand that. That nervousness. I was very nervous, but.
Any tips for overcoming those nerves so that people can follow through more likely than not?
Have courage. If you truly believe in something, experience it first. And I'll give you an example of this. When I came to LA, my first exposure was I came for the LA Fit Expo. And actually stayed with the friend who let me crash land here when I decided to, shoot myself out of Albuquerque. But anyway, so I came and I stayed with him, and we went to Gold's, and we went to the LA Fit Expo. And the first moment I walked into Gold's, it was a different feeling than ever walking into any other gym. And I think for a bodybuilder, it's very big because, the gym is basically our social outlet. And to find one that's like, it's like walking into you're a kid walking into a classroom and you see all the different people normally, right? And you see, oh, those people are weird. Oh, I don't want to talk to them. They look mean. Oh, those people are cool. Okay, maybe let's go see what they're up to, To now you're a kid walking into high school and be like, holy shit, it's all my best friends ever, And you're like, yes, this is cool. And everybody's like that. And so I just knew. I was like, yep, that's what I wanted. And so that's why I say experience it first. If you think you want to be a bodybuilder, come to Goals and check it out. Everybody does it. I mean, Saturday is mostly visitors and tourists at Gold's, and that's cool. We all love it. We all accept it. We'll all talk to you, and experience it. And then and that goes for everything else too. Go do what you want to do. And if you really love it, after you've experienced it, you'll have no other choice besides to do it. You'll find a way.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's being willing to explore all those options, and people look at it as such like a endless thing, but you can try something for a couple months, and if it doesn't work out, switch. People automatically think, oh, can I do this for the rest of my life? Well, start with a couple months first and build off that. And they go crazy. They they overanalyze before they just start and get it going.
Well, and I can definitely understand. I'm sure because of the difference in human beings. There's several people who are like, dude, Doug is crazy. He just, and I often joke about it. I totally understand that there are a lot of people that care much more about their future as far as financially and stability and owning a home and stuff like that, and that's awesome. My uncle always makes a joke about people that get in a lot of car accidents. Says, oh, they drive by feel, and it's kind of how I live my life. That's kind of like my life philosophy is I drive by feel. It's like, oh, do I like this? Yeah, this is cool. Let's go this way for a little bit. No, I don't like that anymore. Get over there, and so it's just a lifestyle choice. But if that's something that you feel like you can do, then I tell you, if you're supposed to live the way I live and you're trying to live the other way, it's not going to work. Yeah. I promise.
I call that the baseball room full of golfers metaphor, where it's like you can have this talent or this interest you don't know about. So in this case, be this really great baseball player. But if you grew up your whole life around golfers, this whole time you're thinking, man, I just suck at life. Like everyone else is so good at this thing and I'm not. And it's not until, in your case, it was going into Gold's, you walk into that room of similar-minded people and you're like, holy shit, these people exist. They're all like me.
Yeah.
This is great. And that kind of lights the fire that starts the process.
Well, and you just start to realize that, I mean, for one, it's coming from a lower level to a higher level because, in a normal gym, that's the one thing you got to think about is, a normal gym has, between 5 and 30 good physiques, let's say. 30 is pretty high. That's a pretty good gym. But, you go to Gold's and there's 100, and it's like, and there's physiques that are far better than you are. I remember when I first got here, oh man, when I left Albuquerque, I thought I was in good shape. You know, I had like some arm vascularity. I was 290, 300 pounds. And I was like, yeah, you can kind of see my abs in the morning. I'm lean enough. And then I get to Golds, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fat. Like, how do these guys stay in shape all year round like this?
That place keeps you real humble.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
it does.
It's good though because it gives you something to strive for at the same time.
Go ahead.
It was making me think of also this. There's this recurring mindset I think we all have of never good enough. Why do we have that? Why do we have this mindset of I'm not going to be good enough to do it? Even if I go to Golds, I'm never going to look like that guy. He looks better than me, and we just kill ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe Golds has helped me get over that, but I also feel like for the physique athlete, there's so many evolutions that we go through, and a lot of them deal with the self-confidence. For one, we never see ourselves the way other people see us, and we never know how we stack up against other people. I mean, I look at guys now, and I'm like, oh man, that dude's huge. Come to find out he weighs like 225 or something like that. And it's just, it's our mindset because we're always striving to be better. But I think over time you get a little bit more involved in your personal journey and a little bit less involved in comparing yourself to everybody else. And I think that comes with experiencing the ups and the downs of this lifestyle. And I think another point that really helps is when you start to enjoy the process, you can start to look at other people and say, man, he's doing really good work right now. Like he is, and you're just like, you can start to appreciate the work they do. I feel like the competitive aspect of bodybuilding, for me personally, has really waned in the past 2 years. I'm really I just love seeing everybody succeed, including myself. And, in all actuality, it's a selfish ambition anyway to see everybody succeed, because the more people around you that are succeeding, the better off you're going to be, and the better you're going to be.
I love that, and that goes back to what we were saying of the person who thinks, oh, I can't help this person because then I won't succeed. No,
you
make
will.
Everyone else look good around you, and you'll look good as well.
We're a product of our environment, and you really do experience that in all aspects of life. If you start hanging around people, you will start developing those mannerisms, tendencies, and not necessarily ideologies, but outlooks necessarily. You'll view things the same way, and so put yourself around those like-minded people and watch yourself succeed.
Oh, for sure. Was there anything that you didn't realize you had to know that ended up being huge during your process?
Anything
that was crucial to your journey?
That I learned along the way?
Yeah, like you didn't expect was going to be a thing.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of those.
That's part of that process.
Yeah, that's part of that process. I think the biggest one that stands out for me is the level of patience you have to have. I mean, I think even if people tell young bodybuilders that 1,000 times, and you read it from Arnold and you read it from everybody, I don't care how many people tell you, you need to be patient. You can't quite understand how patient you need to be, and you can't be prepared because you're never going to be patient enough. And so I feel like that's the one thing that it really sticks out, that it's like, man, sometimes you just got to really listen to your body and look. And it's taught me a lot about patience in life too, letting things develop and letting things really kind of work out a little bit more naturally. Always tends to be the best, least stressful and upsetting way to go about it, whether it's your body or life in general.
That's a good point. And then how about goals? How do you set your goals and make sure you're hitting them or coming close?
Well, my main goal is, of course, to be an IFBB Pro. That's my long-term goal. I don't have a limit on that goal. I would say probably about 2 more years before it's time to stop spending that money on this. But I feel like my goals change very frequently because this industry changes so frequently and swiftly. And so, as new opportunities come up, it's basically, let me back up a little bit. you have a goal in mind of my life. This is what I want my life to look like. Well, it's in Playa Vista, in a condo, training at goals, making enough money to be happy and comfortable and continue to live this way and be happy. That's really my goal. So, as opportunities come in, like I filmed a movie last month, that was really cool.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, when those kind of things come in, you just consider, is this along the line with what I'm trying to do, or will this get in the way of what I'm trying to do, and how much will it get in the way, and is it worth it? Is it something I want to pursue? And so I just really consider that with everything, and then I decide whether or not to do it. And my goal is to be better every day on a step towards my final goal, or my main goal.
For the days, because we all have those down days where either something went wrong or we didn't hit our goal, how do you move forward on days that you feel like you can't?
Well, a lot of times I really do kind of have I kind of listen to my body on that, and my body and my soul, for lack of a better word. I'm not getting super deep, but my emotions and how I'm feeling. I listen to those things, and basically, like I said earlier, it's how many perfect days in a row can you string together. And sometimes when it's evident that you're not going to have a perfect day today, you need to figure out how you're going to set yourself up in the best environment to have a perfect day tomorrow. And in the future, put yourself in the correct position to start on another streak of perfect days. So one of my main rules is, if I have a day like that where it just kind of goes to shit, or I don't get all my meals, it depends on how far you get off track. If you miss a meal by 30 minutes, well, get your ass home and eat that meal and get back on track. You can still count that, But if it's like, you haven't eaten all morning and you're definitely not going to get a good workout in, so it's going to be tight to get to the gym, which these days happen too, then you just make sure that you eat a dinner that's exactly your diet dinner. You go to bed on time, and you wake up in the morning and put it back together and start again. Don't sweat it if it's a day. Just fix it tomorrow. Refocus yourself. And sometimes you need a couple days to be like, all right, I need to just chill out for a day or two. That's fine. I was calling my non-bodybuilder days. It's like, I'm not a bodybuilder today. I'm done.
Nice.
And I get up and I eat whatever the hell I want for breakfast, and I have a cup of coffee and I relax, and
it gives you that mental break that you need.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and some people see that as a setback, but if that gives you that break that allows you to go back even harder the days following, that's nowhere near it. That's
pick your setback.
Yeah,
that's what I say. Pick your setback. Are you going to give yourself a day, or are you going to grind yourself until your body shuts down and you have to eat a big huge cheat meal and binge out or stay out all night, or because it really is an endurance thing about how long can you go this time. I always pick your setback. Do you want a day, or do you want a week, or do you want a month? That's pretty drastic, but it's pretty serious. The path of least resistance.
Yeah. For people who are getting into working out, and maybe it's with your clients or just people you see in the gym, what do most people spend too much of their time focusing on in like the first 4 weeks when they're working out?
Abs. It's kind of silly, but I only really interact with my clients at the LA Fitness anymore. I don't really talk to other people that much, but I would say, abs and strictness, that's one thing, which, there's two ways of thought. And with myself personally, because I know I can handle it, I will say things to myself like, shut the fuck up and eat your food, But for example, my mother is getting ready to start the Whole30 challenge.
Okay.
And the advice I gave her was, just prepare a few of those meals and eat them a couple times during the day and see how it is to cook them and eat them. That way you have a little bit better of an idea, so that when you really start, you got it. But they focus too much on the big picture instead of day to day to day. It's just day by day. Patience, remember,
Yeah. And then also, like you said, doing those small steps, like don't jump into, all my meals are going to be completely different than I've ever eaten before.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you can do is, I'm starting a diet, I'm eating 5 times chicken and broccoli. That's it. No salt, no seasoning, no sauces.
On top of that, I'm going to work out for an hour and do an hour of cardio every day.
Yeah. But, as far as fitness is concerned, I think one thing that people they think that we change under stress. And that's true to an extent, but you know what the body really hates is change. The body does not like change, so the more drastic the change, the more stress and inflammation your body is going to experience. So, we need to minimize that. and stabilize the lifestyle. I think that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. It's like, no, I'm going on a diet, like you said. Hour cardio in the morning, hour of legs tomorrow, and I'm going to squat. It's like, man, you're going to blow yourself out. You're not going to be able to do it. But yeah.
For people that are trying to get into it, if they had you as a coach, what would be the first important habit or thing you'd have them do to focus on to get out of that?
Oh, the first couple of weeks when I start training a client in person is teaching them how the body works. And that's the first thing that I feel like I bring to all my clients that they really benefit from the most, because it's a quick progression. But once I can show you how to correctly, contract your scapula and squeeze them together, you're never gonna go back the other way, and you're always gonna remember it. And that's it. So I got to teach you how the body works. That's the first thing. Understand that your body is a machine, and it works that way.
What about the people that are resistant to that advice? Because like you said, they're impatient. They're just like, let's do the workouts. Come on, let's do the good stuff.
Oh, it's the good stuff. Make no mistake, you won't be saying that with me.
I've seen Doug trains his clients first day. They are dying by the end of it. It is fun to watch.
I've gotten better though. I've realized that you can't kill somebody on legs the first day because they'll never come back. So I always say, all right, how long has it been since you trained legs? Okay, we're going to go about half speed today. I don't like those sessions. I get bored. But it's important. Yeah. It's important.
People complain real hard if they get like too worked out.
Well, and I can understand that for somebody, it kind of goes back to what we were saying about it goes back to the being patient thing, because, I don't, it's been a long time since I've worked a normal job, but I remember working 9 to 5, and I remember being sore sucks. And if you haven't been sore in a long time, and now you're, sore by my hand, yeah. Sitting in that chair is going to suck.
What about, for anyone just pursuing any goal in general, what's your guidelines on when someone should quit versus when someone should keep going?
I feel like it's pretty personal, but in my opinion, it comes down to you being honest with yourself, as I said, and you kind of have to be honest with yourself about how much it means and what you're gaining from it. Me being a single man, I have a lot of freedom. I don't have kids. I don't even have a dog. I want a dog, but I don't have a dog. And so, I don't really see that there's ever a reason for me to quit, because it's the most important thing in my life. But, you just got to look at it, and you got to understand, what you're putting in and whether or not you're getting anything out. It doesn't have to be, money for money or time for time or something like that. But, what are you benefiting from it? Which is my thing. I benefit from living this lifestyle by feeling the way I do, looking the way I do, and learning the things I do about myself. So until that stops, until I can't train as hard as I want, or anything like that, it's just, you just gotta go by feel. Is it worth it to you still? Are you still loving it? Then keep doing it and find a way. And of course, you have to make money. You have to make a living. So if you can't, if it's not paying your bills, you gotta get a job, that's fine. But as long as every day you're doing something towards that goal, then you're still on the track. Not many things in life are a straight shot, so it's okay, but just stay positive and stay focused.
Yeah, people think or want that immediate gratification, and I like the point you said about how if it's the matter of you're not making money from what it is you're trying to pursue, find another job. Learn how to do both, because it's not a straight path, and in most cases people usually do have to do a job that's not so ideal to pay the bills while they work on their dream in the off hours, and it's balancing that until hopefully the dream can start making you the money where you can work less and less at that job.
Yeah, that's how it was for me. I worked for Computer Corner in Albuquerque for 5 years, and I worked 6 days a week from 9 to 6. On Saturdays we got off at 5. And then I went to the gym after that every day. And then I got home and I cooked my meals for the next day. And I ate while I worked, And even there I was fortunate. There are plenty of jobs where they don't even want you to eat you only get your one lunch break. I could never do that job. Some people can, and that's cool. But, I did that for 5 years. And then I was able to come out to LA, got my personal training certification. And I'm not going to say that I have been, done this all on my own with just hard work. No, I have been blessed to have such good opportunities, and I'm well aware of that. But I was always moving towards my goal. And I just decided one day that I want to live in LA and I want to train at Gold's and I want to try to see what I can make of myself in this fitness industry. Well, that's what I'm doing.
I think part of when you say you were blessed, I think that's also like me looking at from the outside. It's also you actually setting yourself up in a good situation too, more than you realize, which a lot of people don't pick up on. Is there's definitely some luck and some bless involved, but it's also just from what you were even saying today. You put yourself in good situations. Like you got yourself to move out to LA. You kept your goals in your mind so that everything you did, hey, is this helping me towards my goals? No, then I'm not doing it. I'm going to do something that helps me. And that helps foster that blessed and luck, which a lot of people need to get.
I truly feel like, the more you work at something, you're going to see results from it. And the more open-minded you are, the better off you're going to be. And you just have to kind of be creative and for lack of a better term, you got to hustle a little bit. But when you see that opportunity, it's going to help you towards that goal. Jump on that. Say yes, do it. Make the sacrifice. If you know for sure, or even if you don't know for sure, but you think this could really help me, this could really be a big step for me. Put yourself in that situation and do it, and surprise yourself. The more times you do that, the more good situations are going to come your way.
That's awesome. What about in terms of culture growing up? Did that shape your beliefs on anything? Like, whether it was your background or just the town you lived in? Man,
I think back to my childhood, and I had a very, very, very interesting childhood, in my opinion. My mother and I are extremely close, but she had really rough marital issues, and I dealt with a lot of that, more so as an adult than a child when I was really a child.
Are you an only child?
No, I have one sister. She's 6 years younger. Okay. And the marital problem was kind of quelled by the time we got older. I've always been a really stubborn dude. I joke now. I say Doug does whatever Doug wants, and that's really true. That's kind of the way I've always kind of lived my life, whatever you want to say. But I think it's just the fact that I was always given the opportunity by my mother, as even a young boy and onward. I was always kind of expected to figure it out. Whatever it was like, figure it out. And that's something that I think, I didn't even really realize that it was helping me so much in bodybuilding until I started sharing some of my bodybuilding methodologies, especially in the kitchen, honestly. That really did kind of help me. It's like, I can figure shit out, and kind of develop my own processes and stuff like that. And I would say that was probably the one thing from my childhood that really bred me into a good bodybuilder. Because otherwise, it's just kind of something I fell into about high school, I suppose.
Yeah. Were you getting, when you first started working out, were you getting results right away, like physically?
Oh, yeah.
Did it take a while?
Oh, no. It was pretty quick. I can remember clear as day. I was actually talking about this with my roommate, Cyrus, the other day. You may find this funny. I'll answer your question with this. But the other day, we were talking about the fact, we were just sitting there after the gym, and we ended up talking, like we generally do, about bodybuilding and kind of just how we feel about it. And I kind of made this joke. I said, yeah, I remember the first time I was in the basketball weight room. I was a freshman in high school playing basketball, and we had it was the off season, so we just had like a 6-period sports. We were in the weight room, and I remember I did arms, and I did some bicep curls, and I was walking down the hall in high school, and my arms were so pumped that I couldn't hit the panic bar on the door to open the door. And I remember it clear as day, and I told Sarah, shit, man, I think I remember that more than I remember the last time I lost my virginity. And it's really true. Like, I remember that clear as day. But no, from the moment I picked up weights, it was just like I knew this is what I wanted to do. I loved it. I was a freshman in high school, and I was, benching 185 as a freshman. I loved it so much. And I remember, even when I was the kids on the basketball team, I remember one time I opened the door with my shoulder up. You can see it on YouTube. But anyway, there was you could see the muscle definition between my front delt and my medial delt. And my little, we're fucking 15 or something like that. And he's like, look at that. As soon as that was the first time somebody ever complimented my physique, and it was never the last. I loved it so much. So
mine was so opposite. I got into working out because I think I had my hands just out like this on my desk, and I guess it just looked really skinny from how I was positioned. And a kid a grade above me who was in my class just looked and said, Joe, you got really skinny arms. And it just psychologically got in my head so bad. I was like, I need to get into the gym. I went to our athletic trainer at the gym and I said, I want something. And it was just such a bro question because I was like, I don't need anything for legs. I just need something where I'll get big but cut at the same time. And mostly just chest and biceps. And it was so bad. And he gave me something, God bless him. But it set me on because I got, I was a little half-assed, but I was still getting results from it. And it was the first time in my life because I'd never stuck with anything. I'd taken guitar lessons, didn't stick with it. I'd taken drum lessons. And my parents always teased me because I never stuck with anything. And lifting was the first thing where I stayed with it. Like a year passed and it's like, wow, I'm still doing this. And the second year passed and I was still doing it. And then when I finally competed, that's when like I know my parents saw it and were like, wow, he's really following through with this. I bulked, I dieted down. It's like I'd never seen abs on myself before. So it was really cool for me because it showed I had control over something for the first time in my life.
I have a very similar experience with that I was the same way. Never fucking finished anything. Never followed through with anything. And I always felt that way. But bodybuilding or training, it's not even bodybuilding. I mean, bodybuilding, but training is something that is like, there was just no question. That's what I was going to do. And I did it every moment that I had an opportunity to. Well, I used to train freaking 30 days out of 30 days a month, man. I love that stuff. And probably sometimes twice a day. And then, it was the same thing. I won the Mr. New Mexico in 2014. And that was the first time my family, like my whole family, my extended family was like, oh, wow, you're actually good at this. And now, like I have two uncles and I think in both of their phones, I'm Mr. New Mexico, Doug Fruchey, and stuff like that. Now they're all proud of it and go out to restaurants. Every time I go back home, I go out to the restaurant and one of my uncles will be like, hey, that's Mr. New Mexico, I'm like, no, that was 3 years ago. And not anything to be all that excited about, but it's fun.
That brings up an interesting thought for me is, and I'll give my answer, my version. How do you, when you're first starting that venture and historically, I've never stuck with anything, people are probably going to call me out on this. How do you stick with it when you know everyone else is like, he's never going to follow through?
Oh man, you just do it because you love it. I think bodybuilding was really the first thing that even before I understood that I actually did, it was the first thing that I really, loved with a passion. I mean, I loved sports. I loved, football, basketball, ran track. Loved it all. It was all fun. But bodybuilding is so you. And it's just I don't know. So for me, I really I never struggled with it. I literally never struggled with it. I was always just like, yep, this is what I'm doing. You don't like it? Sorry. I never cared. And I was like, you want to go to the gym? Yep. So I don't know what to say about that. I just never struggled with it.
Yeah, mine was interesting as well. It was, thinking back to our conversation about goal setting and starting small and all these things, accountability, all these things you need to actually achieve your goals. I somehow, back when I was only 19, 20, I think I did my first competition when I was 21, I somehow followed all those without even realizing they were things. Once I knew how to lift a little bit, I saw there was one guy that had competed already in my grade, and there were two guys that were around my size who were starting to bulk. So I said, all right, I'm going to do the whole bulking with them and see if I match up. And I did. And then I saw they were doing a show, so I was like, I'm just going to pay for the show ahead of time. So I know, like, even if I don't place, even if I don't do anything, at least I'll be in the best shape I've ever been because I've never done anything like that. So I dieted down, and then I did the show. And so I did all the little things, like by putting that deposit in there and put that accountability, by having that network of people who were either better than me or on the same, it pushed me. So all these little things. So it was, wow.
I still do that before every show. I have paid for every show at least 16 weeks in advance.
Wow.
That's just one thing that I'm the same way. It's like because I don't really act like I care very much about money, but if I've spent it on something, I'm going to get the result of that. And so, I did the same thing. I've always paid for it super early. Just show your commitment.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip for anyone who's trying to figure out, like, how do I make sure I follow these goals? If you're anything like us where we haven't stuck with anything, if it's something that involves money, hell, even if it's not, let's say it's just losing weight, pay your friend, whatever, $500, $1,000 and say, hey, I want to give myself 3 months. You get to keep that money if I don't lose the weight by then, or whatever it is that you want to set the standards on.
Spend that money a little bit more wisely, but you can definitely do that. Don't just give it to your buddy, unless I'm your buddy.
There you go. Look up Doug, and he can help get you on that path.
You give me $500, I'll do more than just keep it. I'll make sure you make your goal.
There you go. what's the biggest goal for you right now that you're trying to accomplish, and what's your plan to get that?
Well, the main goal is still the USA's next year. I competed in the USA's this year and got 10th at my first try as a super heavyweight.
Which is really good for first time.
Oh, man. Even if the placing, the placings, they don't necessarily matter. In bodybuilding, if it's after 5th place, they probably didn't even really consider it. So you just figure you didn't win, But either way, the experience was so awesome. And I actually had one of the judges come up to me in between the prejudging and the finals unprovoked and give me some really, encouraging advice. And, it goes back to that feeling like you belong. And it was one of the first times where I really was like, man, I've gotten somewhere in this sport. And so it was really rewarding. But anyway, so my main goal is to win the USA's next year. I do have some little performance goals along the way. Like I'm going to try to squat 800 pounds 4 times in a Santa suit before Christmas. So I'm kind of playing around with that, and then I'm planning on playing a little bit more with my strength. I'm going to see if I can do some powerlifting stuff. But the main goal is next year in July, go crush that and get my pro card and do what we set out to do.
Okay. And even when you place in those shows, does even just being at that shows and making an appearance do anything for you as a bodybuilder, as an image?
Yes. I mean, for one, it gives you a lot of exposure to the national bodybuilding media because they're all there. So if you make a good showing, even if you don't win, if you look impressive and catch people's eye, yes, it can really be beneficial. And then even for me personally, as I looked at the pictures and stuff like that from the USA's, and just kind of to realize, like I said, we never see ourselves the way other people see us, but to put yourself on stage with that kind of talent and see that you're right in the mix, that really helped me as a bodybuilder. That really lit a fire under my ass because you never really believe it. You see those guys in the pictures, and even right now, I could open my Instagram and look at some bodybuilding pictures from amateurs that I could easily compete with and be like, "Fuck, I'll never look like that," because you don't look like that at this very fucking moment, But that really helped me a lot, and that was just awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool. Final question that I like to end on is closing the mind-action gap. It's the idea of, let's just say, in this case, I want to be a competitor, to actually following through and doing the steps it takes. A lot of people, that's where they fall apart. People love to talk about all their $1 million ideas, but no one actually follows through. What's one actionable step you could recommend right now for anyone on any goal to go close that gap?
I'm going to give 2.
All right, even better.
Or a 2-part answer to that. The first step is to find somebody smarter than you and tell them that you're planning to do this and that you want to do it. Now, if you can approach that 2 ways. It could either be somebody you're going to pay to help you, or if it's a friend and just be like, look, I don't want to pay you. I just, give me a couple tips. And if you have that friend, that's awesome. If not, pay somebody. If you're going to pay somebody, they're going to do a good job. And so keep that in mind too. So it depends on your level of commitment, but that's the first step. Is find somebody smarter than you and make an alliance. And the second part is to figure out what you need to do every day and just start stringing together those perfect days. Get in the habit of that right away. Even if the days change over the next week when you get more information, it doesn't matter. You can at least put together a day that's going to be a good first step as far as like, well, I'm going to eat 5 meals today. I don't care what they are. Just eat them and get in that habit. Just start that right away if it's fitness. But no matter what, find somebody smarter than you and start your days.
Perfect. I love that. Anyone listening, rewind it, replay it, write it down. Put it on your background, make a note of it, do whatever you have to, because those are 2 huge helpful pieces of advice that everyone should be following if they're not already. So Doug, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we had a good talk. Hope you guys got some good takeaways, and hopefully we'll maybe next year we'll do a follow-up interview once you've captured that USA's, and we'll see what's happening. Because that's one of the things I want to do is kind of catch people in the midst of it, and then once they've succeeded, because I know they'll all succeed, I want to see what that feels like and what that looks like. So
definitely. And if you ever want to reach out to me and talk to me, if you have any questions, just hit me up on Instagram. It's at Douglas Fruchey. It's just my name. Facebook is there, Douglas Fruchey as well. Literally, I'll answer. Don't text me weird nonsense though, please. All right.
Slide into his DMs. All right, guys, and we'll have the links in his name in the show notes as well. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.